You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Hey everybody, we would appreciate it if you would share The Bible Guys, our link, or our podcast, or whatever it is, to somebody that you think might appreciate it.
Just make your friend's day.
Yes.
Saying, I like The Bible Guys.
Yes.
I think you'd like The Bible Guys too.
It's a little presumptuous, but I agree. But hey, welcome to The Bible Guys. I'm Chris. This is Jeff. And today we are about to dive into Daniel chapter 2.
Yes.
Which is very exciting.
Yes.
But before we do that, we have a segment.
This is one of your favorite segments.
I like it a lot.
Yep.
Who's most likely? You know why? Because it's fun to think about. It's quick. It's easy. It's simple. And I think, by the way, some of the best board games are the board games that are just completely simple.
Simple games?
Apples to apples. It's like, pick one.
Okay.
It's like, it's just boom, there it is.
Yes.
Catchphrase. Just simple rules.
Okay.
Those are the most fun. So who's most likely? Number one, who's most likely to intentionally give the wrong directions to tourists? That's mean.
It is mean. I don't think I've ever done that.
I don't think I've ever done that either. Although I just told a story the other day about us going into a store and saying, hey, this is really important that we buy the right thing. And I think the person in the store was messing with us and intentionally gave us the wrong thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just to mess with us.
So it's happened to you?
Ha ha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really do. Like based on everything, it's just too long of a story to tell. But I think this is sort of mean.
I wouldn't do it.
How about we say no, but nobody?
Okay, 0.
Because although you have to pick one though.
We have to pick one. Who's most likely?
Okay, how about this? The old Chris would definitely do it.
The old Chris?
So I'm going to pick me.
The old Chris?
Yeah.
The old Chris.
Like if you fire me up, if you really, really do something bad to me, then I might be able to do it.
Okay.
So
let's just go neutral on that one. I don't think the old Chris should take the blame for this.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Number 2, go ahead.
Who's most likely to cry over a TikTok made by strangers? You are.
There's no question.
You did this morning.
Well, you don't cry.
I know you did this morning.
You don't cry over anything.
I do sometimes. I tear up sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, you were at my dad's funeral. I teared up.
Oh yeah. Well, talking there. Well, if you don't on that one, come on.
That was
you're the Rock of Gibraltar. If you don't on that one, but I cry over aspirin commercials.
Yeah. Did you cry this morning already?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, I did. Of course I did. So I watch things all the time, and I'm last night.
It's why people love you.
It's last night. Everybody went to bed, and sometimes I'll just wind down by watching something, and I was all by myself, and there was this thing that happened on a show, and it was so unlikely. It was like a comedy, but there was this tender moment, and I literally out loud was like, all by myself. I'm in the room, and I audibly made a gurgle. Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah. Well, so it's one of the things people love about you so much is that.
Do they though?
Well, yeah, because it makes you so. It's clear that you're very empathetic.
Yeah. And
people like to know that they're seen and heard, and that you are feeling what they're feeling with them. They love it. It's one of the things they love about you. It's one of the endearing qualities of Chris Arbaugh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Number 3.
And I hire people who cry for me. That's what I do.
Right.
Yeah. You're going to be the crier. It's in your job description.
So
and cry when it's appropriate.
Hey, that's so funny. I need somebody who's a counselor over here. I need a crier. Anybody. Okay, that's funny. Okay, number 3. Who's most likely to re-gift a present?
I have never done that.
Oh, I do this all the time. I just did this Sunday.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Yeah, I've never done it.
Oh, it's the best cheat in the world. It's like a game cheat or a life hack, right?
Yeah.
Somebody gives you a present, and you're like, and by the way, it could be a great present.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me a gift card, and it was like a $50 gift card to a fancy restaurant. I was like, this is amazing, thank you. And then on the way out, I'm like, oh, we need to bring something, and I reach over into my gift card box, and there it is. Doesn't have my name on it, and it has I presented it like it was all my.
So somebody gave you a gift. It was a great gift, and you handed the gift on.
Yeah.
To somebody else as a gift.
And there's nothing wrong with that because it is mine.
To give.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's great.
All right. Who's most likely to tell the best dad joke?
I
Well, I think you are. You're more committed to him than I am.
I'm definitely more committed. In fact, this morning, I woke up, and the first thing that I did was I told Tori our dad jokes last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we filmed yesterday for last week, and we had 4 of them that were really good.
Yeah.
And so out of the 10...
Did she approve?
She liked the 4 I said, yes. Okay, she said, what are the other ones? I said, you don't want to know.
Yes.
Those are really bad.
Good. You get to read the next one.
Okay. Oh, gee whiz. Who's most likely to get starstruck while meeting Zac Efron? By the way, that is such an old joke.
But it's great. So if you didn't know, Zarbaugh has this.
Nope, I do not. You made
tremendous affection for Zac Efron. And
because one time I picked him to represent me in a Chris Zarbaugh movie.
Yeah, I said in the inevitable movie that's made of Chris Zarbaugh's life, who would you choose? And you said, oh, without a doubt, don't even think about it. Zac Efron.
I didn't say any of that. And, without a doubt.
And you said, and then you said,
it's
specifically
like
the Zac Efron from Baywatch. And I said wasn't, and I never saw the movie, but I know that The Rock was in Baywatch. But you chose Zac Efron, not The Rock, to play Chris Zarbaugh.
This is so distorted.
And then you also mentioned he sings and dances.
Listen,
it's perfect.
I know how the conversation went because my logic is still my logic. And I said, Zac Efron, you said why? I said, because he's a tough guy with also, like, he's an artsy guy. And then you said, what do you mean a tough guy? And you were referring to High School Musical Zac Efron. And then that's the only reason why I said, hey, if you watch Baywatch, you can see he's no longer the High School Musical Zac Efron. And then you said, wasn't The Rock in Baywatch? And I said, yes. And you said, so you chose. And I'm like, how did this graduate to somehow me picking Zac Efron over The Rock?
Well, here's the other part of who's most likely to get starstruck while meeting Zac Efron. I think if he walked in the room right now, I would not recognize him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There is no question that I would probably
be starstruck.
Wouldn't be able to speak. Yeah. Because he's awesome. Yeah. I love him in everything he's in.
Yeah. So I don't even know that I would recognize him.
Yeah, but that's the same with Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise.
Oh, I would recognize Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but would you be starstruck? Probably
I don't know. I don't know.
You probably wouldn't be.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Although I have to say this, though, to be honest, we need to move on. But I have actually met several famous people, and I haven't been starstruck yet, actually. So, like Shania Twain at one time was I was like, my favorite singer in the world is Shania Twain. And I met her, I slapped her hand, high five twice, 2 different years at concerts. And I was like, hey, what's up? What's going on? I've talked with stars before. Because
you're a super cool guy.
And not been starstruck. So
super cool guy.
Maybe I wouldn't be starstruck.
Maybe not. But most likely. Most likely is I wouldn't even recognize him. So there you go.
But how about Desiree hanging on to that?
Okay, she brings it back. Yep. Some of the best comedy is callback comedy. So that's great. All right. Well, we are in talking about callback comedy.
Oh wow! We're gonna.
Yesterday we mentioned Nebuchadnezzar. We're gonna talk about him again today.
There's a callback. Wow!
Nebuchadnezzar is the king of Babylon.
Yes, he is.
As we're reading through the book of Daniel now, and he has a dream.
He does.
Yes.
I have a dream.
There you go. I knew you were going to do it. All I had to do was pause.
Did you know that Martin Luther King Jr. gave the very first time he gave the "I Have a Dream" speech? Do you know where it was?
In Detroit.
Yes.
Yes.
And do you know which building?
I knew it one time. I forgot.
Kobo.
Was it at Kobo?
Yeah.
Oh, well. So it was a version of it. Yes.
Well, okay.
Yeah. So Daniel chapter 2, it says...
His first draft.
One night during the 2nd year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had such disturbing dreams that he couldn't sleep. He called his magicians and enchanters and sorcerers and astrologers, and he demanded that they tell him what he had dreamed. As they stood before the king, he said, I have had a dream that deeply troubles me, and I must know what it means. Then the astrologers answered the king in Aramaic, Long live the king, tell us the dream, and we'll tell you what it means. But the king said to the astrologers, I am serious about this. If you don't tell me what my dream was and what it means, you'll be torn limb from limb, and your houses will be turned into heaps of rubble.
Okay, wow.
He's no joke. He don't play.
No doubt.
But the king said, but if you tell me what I dreamed and what the dream means, I will give you many wonderful gifts and honors. Just tell me the dream and what it means. Then they said again, "Please, your majesty, tell us the dream, and we'll tell you what it means." The king replied, "I know what you're doing. You're stalling for time because you know I am serious when I say if you don't tell me the dream, you are doomed. So you've conspired to tell me lies, hoping I'll change my mind. But tell me the dream, and then I'll know that you can tell me what it means." The astrologers replied to the king, "No one on earth can tell the king his dream. And no king, however great and powerful, has ever asked such a thing of any magician, enchanter, or astrologer. The king's demand is impossible. No one except the gods can tell you your dream, and they do not live here among people." The king was furious when he heard this, and he ordered that all the wise men of Babylon be executed. And because of the king's decree, men were sent to find and kill Daniel and his friends. When Arioch, the commander of the king's guards, came to kill them, Daniel handled the situation with wisdom and discretion. He asked Arioch, "Why has the king issued such a harsh decree?" So Arioch told him all that had happened, and Daniel went at once to see the king and requested more time to tell the king what the dream meant. Then Daniel went home and told his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah what had happened. He urged them to ask the God of heaven to show them his mercy by telling them the secret, so they would not be executed along with the other wise men of Babylon. That night, the secret was revealed to Daniel in a vision. Then Daniel praised the God of heaven. He said, "Praise the name of God forever and ever, for he has all wisdom and power. He controls the course of world events. He removes kings and sets up their kings, or other kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the scholars. He reveals deep and mysterious things and knows what lies hidden in darkness, though he is surrounded by light. I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors, for you've given me wisdom and strength, and you've told me what we asked of you and revealed to us what the king has demanded." Do you want me to go on and tell the dream?
Well, sure. We have
this is a good one. All right. Then Daniel went in to see Arioch, whom the king had ordered to execute the wise men of Babylon. And Daniel said to him, "Don't kill the wise men. Take me to the king, and I will tell him the meaning of this dream." Arioch quickly took Daniel to the king and said, "I have found one of the captives from Judah who will tell the king the meaning of his dream." The king said to Daniel, also known as Belteshazzar, "Is this true? Can you tell me what my dream was and what it means?" Daniel replied, "There are no wise men, enchanters, magicians, or fortune tellers who can reveal the king's secret. But there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and he has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in the future. Now I will tell you your dream and the visions you saw as you lay on your bed. While your majesty was sleeping, you dreamed about coming events. He who reveals secrets has shown you what is going to happen. And it is not because I am wiser than anyone else that I know the secret of your dream, but because God wants you to understand what was in your heart. In your vision, your majesty, you saw standing before you a huge shining statue of a man. It was a frightening sight. The head of the statue was made of fine gold. Its chest and arms were silver. Its belly and thighs were bronze. Its legs were iron, and its feet were a combination of iron and baked clay. As you watched, a rock was cut from a mountain, but not by human hands, and it struck the feet of the iron and clay, smashing them into bits. The whole statue was crushed into small pieces of iron, clay, bronze, silver, and gold. Then the wind blew them away without a trace, like chaff on a threshing floor, but the rock that knocked the statue down became a great mountain that covered the whole earth. That was the dream. Now we will tell the king what it means. Your majesty, you are the greatest of kings. The God of heaven has given you sovereignty, power, strength, and honor. He has made you the ruler over all the inhabited world and has put even the wild animals and birds under your control. You are the head of gold. But after your kingdom comes to an end, another kingdom, inferior to yours, will rise to take your place. After that kingdom has fallen, yet a third kingdom, represented by bronze, will rise to rule the world. Following that kingdom, there will be a fourth one, as strong as iron. That kingdom will smash and crush all previous empires, just as iron smashes and crushes everything it strikes. The feet and toes you saw were a combination of iron and baked clay, showing that this kingdom will be divided. Like iron mixed with clay, it'll have some of the strength of iron, but while some parts of it will be as strong as iron, other parts will be as weak as clay. This mixture of iron and clay also shows that these kingdoms will try to strengthen themselves by forming alliances with each other through intermarriage, but they will not hold together, just as iron and clay do not mix. During the reigns of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed and conquered. It will crush all these kingdoms into nothingness, and it will stand forever. That is the meaning of the rock cut from the mountain, though not by human hands, that crushed to pieces the statue of iron, bronze, clay, silver, and gold. The great God was showing the king what will happen in the future. The dream is true, and its meaning is certain.
Okay,
Want me to read the last three verses?
Oh, there's only
Then
three
King
more?
Nebuchadnezzar threw himself down before Daniel and worshipped him, and he commanded his people to offer sacrifices and burn sweet incense before him. The king said to Daniel, "Truly your God is the greatest of gods, the Lord over kings, a revealer of mysteries, for you have been able to reveal this secret." And then the king appointed Daniel to a high position and gave him many valuable gifts. He made Daniel ruler over the whole province of Babylon, as well as chief over all his wise men. At Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be in charge of all the affairs of the province of Babylon, while Daniel remained in the king's court. There you go.
Oh, I'm really glad you read those last
Man,
three.
that's a good one.
Because the king's reaction is awesome.
Yeah.
And you know what? I am so glad that we actually read this.
We
And
read
this
the
is-
whole thing because it's such a cool story.
Well, it's a little obscure. You know, you don't necessarily always hear sermons about Nebuchadnezzar's dream, right?
Right.
But, you know, you can probably start off by saying there's a lot of sermons in here. So the first one is, when you want wisdom, don't look for it in astronomy.
Right.
Or
Astrology.
Yeah. or fortune tellers, right?
Right.
Or all the above.
That's right.
So you know, it's the wisdom of God, and Daniel is really clear about that. And Daniel could have taken the glory for himself, couldn't he have?
Yes.
He could have talked about how wise he was, or maybe, hey, for some reason, God has blessed me.
Right.
You know, I'm blessed. But Daniel doesn't do that. Daniel says it is not because I'm wiser. It's not because I'm stronger. It's not because of anything else. It's because God has chosen to give you wisdom. And then he makes it sound like, and it's actually true, but he actually puts the glory out of respect onto the king,
Right.
and says God wanted to bless you by giving you this knowledge, O king,
Right.
And this is what God has chosen to do. So somehow he gives glory to God, he respects his authorities, and he takes the focus off of himself in humility. And I'm thinking to myself, gee whiz, that is a phenomenal posture, right? There's so much wisdom there, because it does actually say he responded in wisdom and knowledge.
Well, so the astrologers admit, listen, our gods aren't even here on earth.
Right.
Right? No, nobody on earth can tell you what you dreamed, because this is an impossible request. He's
Right.
trying to figure out, are these advisors around me? This is early in his reign, right? You're trying to figure out, who can I trust? These astrologers and these sorcerers, they've got a lot of influence and power over Nebuchadnezzar, but this is a great opportunity for Nebuchadnezzar to test them and see, are they legit or not? So, all right, guys, before I tell you what my dream was, you tell me what my dream was.
Right.
Right? That's impossible.
Right.
And so they admit it. Hey, our gods can't tell us that, because our gods don't live on this earth. And Daniel goes, let me tell you, there's a God in heaven who knows these things. And so he immediately gives credit to God. And then he solicits Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Hey, we need to pray. So they have a prayer meeting that night. God, we need help. We're all going to die.
And that's a whole nother sermon altogether too, isn't it?
Yep.
So how wise is it to say, hey, before you carry out this harsh punishment, just give us time to pray about it.
Yeah.
And there is wisdom. Think about like your next board meeting or conundrum where everybody in the room needs to find a solution to something.
Right.
And instead of just sort of, reacting and carrying out something in the moment, there's wisdom in saying, okay, guys, let's go ahead and let's take a break and let's all carve out some time, because that's what it says. It says we need more time. He begged the king for more time for wisdom. And then he went home and said, okay, God, we have a night. Please reveal wisdom. And there's something to be said about that. A lot of times, I've grown up in church world a very, very long time, 30 years, 3 decades. And I think there are times where we should have said, you know what? This has been a heated discussion. It's been a great discussion. We all have different opinions. Let's all go ahead and let's pray about it, and let's come back tomorrow. Right? But a lot of times we're like, well, okay, let's make a decision. It's like, no. Just you feel it in the room. You feel like, there's a time where you need to go to God again, because, we need God's wisdom on this.
So then he was very smart also. The diplomacy, again, of Daniel. So these guys are going out executing all the sorcerers and astrologers and advisors. And it doesn't say what Daniel said to them, but they decided to give him some time. And I think he probably had to have said something about, you haven't given me time to go to my God yet.
Right.
So just give us tonight, because the 4 of us worship a different God. So let us go to our God tonight, and we'll come and give the answer to the king in the morning. He gave something where he put all the pressure on God because they trusted him in that moment where they were executing all the other astrologers. He did something, he said something there that made them decide, all right, we're going to give you a little bit of time.
Well, think about this. How did he even have that conversation in the first place? And it's because he already had the respect of the guy who was assigned to go kill him.
Right. Everything else that Daniel had done had turned out well. So
yes. Right. So the guy, instead of walking in and going, "Hiya," spearing him or killing him with a sword or whatever, Daniel says, "Hey, answer me this." And the guy literally answers him. Yeah. So they has an intelligent conversation because the guard obviously respects Daniel. This is a guy who has wisdom and knowledge and because God has blessed him with this. So he's obviously a very impressive individual, right? And so God has given him this influence over those who are above him in authority.
So then
it's very Joseph-like, isn't it?
Yes, very much. And then he pulls in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which was so smart. Because then Daniel's not going to only take credit himself. He's going to say, I know the meaning of this, but, the 4 of us, we prayed to our God about this.
Right.
So he saves his friends' lives as well by being able to come in and say, hey, we all prayed about this thing. So then the thing, God gives Nebuchadnezzar this supernatural vision of the future. So the head, obviously, Daniel said, that's you and your kingdom. That's Babylon. And then the next one down, I looked this up. The next one down, the chest of and arms of silver is the Medo-Persian kingdom. That would have been like Darius. King Darius comes next.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that's that
Darius.
kingdom. Very powerful. Just
that's
not
the lion's den.
Right, that's just king. It's not quite as shiny, not quite as impressive, but pretty great. Then the belly of bronze and the thighs of bronze, that's going to be Greece. And that was a kingdom that ruled over the whole earth. That was Alexander the Great. Bronze was a big part of their kingdom at the time. That was the next one that came after. It was known for its very widespread influence. The legs of iron, obviously, is Rome. Rome came and broke everything, crushed everything. Right. Just sheer force, right? And this unbelievable dominance. And then the feet of iron and clay is the really nuanced one. That's the divided kingdom. That's when Rome split in half, and you had the eastern and western thing, and they were trying to, and it just ran out of gas during that time. And it was in this season, the Rome and then the divided kingdom Rome. This is when Jesus comes during the Roman one, and this is when the church begins to be established in the second one,
which
right?
Is the
in the last one, right?
Yeah.
Then the rock rolls in, obliterates it all, and then now Jesus is going to set up his eternal kingdom. We're playing that last phase out right now.
Yeah.
And,
which is amazing.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, it's super cool.
So it's a really neat thing, and it's basically there was no purpose behind that dream other than for God to establish his dominance over the strongest king in the world. That's what it was, right?
Yeah, and just think about that. From 600 BC is when this took place, all the way until now. So we're talking
into the 1,000-year reign of Christ.
That's right.
It's coming.
That's right. And so it's a 3,000, 100-year-old?
3,600-year-old.
Yeah, 3,600-year-old.
Or 26. I'm sorry, 2,600-year-old so far.
Wait, no.
So we're 2,025 after Christ. And
25 plus 6. 2,500 plus...
Well, we're only 2,000 years in.
Oh, what am I thinking? 2025. My math. No wonder why my math was so bad. I'm like 7,000.
Yeah. So 2025 plus the 600. Yeah, something like that.
Chris, I don't know if you know this, but 2025 means 2,000 years.
Right. At this point, there's a note in our study Bible that says that at this same time, he's over in Babylon, but the Temple of Artemis was constructed in Ephesus about that same time. So
cool.
You've got this Greek, Turkish kind of world being built up there at the same time. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So very significant. And we're going to move on from there. Daniel winds up getting promoted.
Yes.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego get promoted. He advocates for them, right? At Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Good leaders care about the people that are working with them, right? They work in teams, and that's what's happening with these 4 guys.
And the strongest person in the world at that time, King Nebuchadnezzar, is able to recognize that Daniel's God is truly God.
Right.
So that's an unbelievable accomplishment that God is able to use Daniel for such great things. So I'm glad we read all the way to the end, because to see Nebuchadnezzar's reaction is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's the drop the mic moment, and how God can use, somebody like Daniel. Listen, he was sort of a slave at this moment, right?
Right.
He was taken captive from Judah, and they had obviously taken all of Israel captive. They kidnapped him pretty much because he was fair and good looking and wise, and then they pretty much forced him to be a servant to the king, and now he's in training. So here he is in total captivity, and so God can use you. Right. You don't think that God can use you because you don't have any influence? Well, guess what? Stand up, do the right thing, pray about it, get God's wisdom, be faithful, true, and have courage, and watch what God can do.
Daniel is the embodiment of Solomon talking about the power of wisdom in a person's life. Right? Everything Daniel does is so wise and discerning. And I think that's one of the reasons why we need to spend so much time in God's Word. When you know God's Word, you develop His wisdom, you're asking God for wisdom, He gives it to us. And you get to see a guy navigating through almost impossible circumstances over and over and over again and rising above them. And it's the wisdom that God's given him.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that's our time. So we'll see you next time, hopefully on the Bible Guys.